Okay. Alrighty. Anyways. Oh, that's going to be really loud. I'm sorry, everyone. Give me 1 second. Okay. Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, team? This is Art, and today is Sunday Stock Talk. Today is the 15th of May. I'm going to be charting out what I think we'll probably see during the week of, well, the 16th all the way through the 20th. I'm very excited because this market does look like we might have a little bit of a turnaround. I'm extremely excited to see how this market turns out going into the future. That said, let's get this thing right on the road. I do have a massive list. Can't hear me. Are you guys able to hear me right now? It shows on my side that I do have audio, but I'm not sure. Not sure. Do we have audio? Audio? I hope you guys can hear me. I really do. I have 5 viewers. Can viewers confirm or not confirm? Oh, I can hear myself on my own thing. Okay. So yeah, I do have my list, and I will be taking suggestions after I get through the list. Here's my list for today. We have Apple, Microsoft, Visa, AI, Netflix, etc., etc., and etc. I'm pretty excited, so let's get this thing on the road. For those who are watching on YouTube who are not part of the Artstrading Discord channel, there is a link in the description below for you guys. Also, there is a discounted Masterclass link at the description below. I look forward to potentially having you as one of my mentees, and I will be doing a one-on-one style mentorship very soon. This is a project that I'm starting with CJ. This is going to be a small group of about 3 people that I'm going to be teaching how to take a $3,000 account to $10,000, and this will be my little test group of people just to make sure that everyone understands how to use my indicators. That said, I will be opening applications for that very shortly. Anyways, let's get right into this charting. I'm very excited for everyone who's tuned in. I know it's Sunday. Normally people are a little busy today, but I appreciate anyone who's tuning in. All right, so first order of business, we have Apple. Okay, so the interesting thing with Apple here is that we finally got back above our downtrend that we were having. Yes, we are still technically looking pretty bad, especially when you look at this thing in terms of a daily chart, but we did get back above 145, which was kind of a critical level. We also bounced 140, which I'm not very surprised that ended up happening because 140 is kind of a historic level, especially when you look at the actual stock itself. Typically, it has ranged around 140. And then 147 is the old support, so that's why we did see a little bit of a rejection here in terms of the daily candle. I think that if we can get above 147, we can start using these fibs that we had from the past again. If anything, actually, I might even just redraw some new ones here. So let's remove this. Let's get ourselves some new fibs. So we have our recent high, so that would be on the 30th of of March. So high was 179.01. So let's draw this. Let's bring this all the way down to our lows at 138.8. And so now we have our levels here on our fibs. So let me delete these old ones as well, just so we don't confuse ourselves. Remove. All right. Anyways, so if we can get above this 148, 149 mark, I think that we'll retest 150, and above 150, I think that we can genuinely see a decent uptrend. Notice that Apple, although dumped out from 180, has never touched the oversold mark when it comes to the actual stock itself, which to me is showing extreme strength in comparison to, say, other names such as, I don't know, Peloton, which has been dumping out like crazy. That in mind, though, we do need a break above this 149, 148 level, and we'll definitely see some sort of reversal, perhaps. That said, though, we do have to keep in mind that we are still in a massive downtrend when you look at this thing as a long-term overall. Notice we rejected the retest of highs, and we just fell right back down, and we're still in this channel to the downside. I would not be surprised if we retouched 160 at some point soon before we start heading down again, but that is what I think in terms of a daily chart. Now, if we're taking this thing for a day trade, what's really curious, or what really has me curious right now, is this reversal that we're pinging right now, because notice that we are losing a little bit of the buying pressure when it comes to the MACD. Notice we have the histogram kind of falling out a little bit, but the RSI is very strong. So we are showing relative strength at a decent level, or we are above neutral. We are showing that the SMA lines are starting to trend higher in our direction. I think that if we can actually hold this 147.5 mark, we will definitely end up seeing that 148.5, if not 150 trade level reached. Let's see. Everyone's able to hear me. Okay, perfect. I hope so. Next, I have Microsoft on the list here. All right, let's load this thing up. Okay, so Microsoft, same story pretty much. Microsoft, heavy downtrend since pretty much last year back in November. It's been on a steep downtrend. And I think of the majority of the tech stocks, I think Microsoft's a pretty decent bargain. This isn't financial advice. I have to disclaim that every single time I make a video, but this is not financial advice. That said, I do think that Microsoft is a little on the cheaper end right now. And so I think that if we can actually get back above our little support lines that we have, so notice our custom indicator is now showing our levels of support. I think if we can actually hold 260, we might be able to retest this like 270 mark, and if we can do that, we can maybe see a retest of the moving averages, so that's like 290. And you know, if it breaks above there, who knows, maybe this turns into an inverse head and shoulder and we see 300 plus again. But you got to keep in mind that this thing is, again, still in a massive downtrend. So let's really quickly take our most recent high, so that will be all the way up here at 315. So 315.95, boom. And our recent low is all the way down at 259.88. So what is that? Recent low was 250.02. My bad. So here are our fibs. If we can get above 265, we can at least test 270. Right now, I think we're going to see a little bit of resistance here at this current 262 level. If we can break above, we'll definitely end up seeing a retest of 265. Notice that the histogram is starting to show a drop-off of sell pressure. However, if you look at our new custom scripts, notice we just have massive selling on these candles. But we are starting to even out. Notice the buying. I think tomorrow might end up possibly being a green day, especially considering that futures are green as we speak. Again, as of 6 o'clock on the 15th of May. Things can change, but as of right now, that's what I'm looking at. And when you look at an hourly chart, I think that if we can have this little SMA squeeze here with the 9 and the 50-day moving averages, we could totally see this thing start to curl back up and retest that 265. You're really looking for this resistance break at 262, which is again this same thing on the daily chart. If we don't break above and actually hold, we will probably end up heading even lower. This could potentially turn into an H pattern and we retest that 250 mark. So that's what I think right now. I would be a little indecisive on Microsoft. I think that if you're buying this thing long term, I mean, who the hell cares what it's doing right now? But if you're taking this thing in terms of a short-term type of trade, I would definitely be looking at both sides of the coin here, because we could totally turn this thing into an H pattern, or we can end up seeing this thing completely shred if we can get above 265. Next stock, I have Visa. So Visa kind of has same story here. It's been in a downtrend pretty much since July of last year. The thing that I'm curious about is that we're currently on a super steep downtrend right now with this thing as of this past couple of months. So we had a bounce at 186, but we did see a push back up to 230. That in mind, though, we are seeing a little bit of resistance here with the 9 SMA line on the daily chart. My guess right now, or rather what I would like to see happen, is either a break above this 9 SMA now that we have a histogram that's starting to lose a little bit of that selling pressure, or we see 9 SMA push this thing lower and we retest to actually fill in this little double bottom that we have. That way we can turn this thing into potentially an inverse head and shoulder or just a W bottom. That's how I'm looking at this thing in terms of an hourly chart. You know, say I want to take this thing as a swing trade. This thing ended off on a really nice bull flag. So I think the likelihood of it actually breaking the 9 SMA is definitely a better shot than it rejecting. That in mind, I think that Visa and I think maybe some other finance stocks are going to do well this week. If you look at, say, JP Morgan, you can see that it's in a super steady downtrend, but we are seeing these little hammer style candles, and most of the times when we see them, we do see a little bit of a bounce. So I think that if we can see this thing get above 120, I think we'll maybe retest 123.5 for something like JP Morgan. And if we can see some strength in finance, it'll definitely make everything else ride higher. So that's what I think on that one. Next stock, we have AI. So AI is loading up. I've been recommended AI, I think, every single day every single time that I do a stock talk, I always get requests for AI. I think that AI is an interesting play mainly because of this extremely huge downtrend this thing's on. I don't know why we keep trying to catch this falling knife, but you look at this thing on a weekly chart. Keep in mind, each one of these candles is 1 week. Notice it is just super hard downtrend. Super hard downtrend. We are trying to cross up a little bit here on this MACD. We crossed a while ago, but it's still kind of floating downwards. I'm not sure if you're trying to play this thing as a earnings play, but if you are, I would just be very cognizant of the potential continuation of this downtrend. I know that they did rise up quite a bit recently. You can see it's up 22%. But just because it has that huge kind of run, it doesn't mean necessarily that it is a perfect, reversal type of play. Maybe I'll eat my shorts on this one, but I think it might. So I don't know, but if you can see their earnings, they're starting to burn less money. So perhaps they turn out a profit and they can maybe start uptrending. I don't know. I've never traded this stock personally, so I would not be the person to really be able to speak on that. But I think that if it continues back up to 183 or to 18.5, you can definitely see a break of the downtrend and maybe start seeing a little bit of a push. I don't know what I would play with this one, to be completely honest. Here's Netflix. So, whoopsies. Sorry about all the noise. Netflix is weird. Here's why. Every time they've had earnings recently, it has just been an absolute disaster. So you can see they popped up to $700, and since then they've just been on a massive downtrend. This is a daily chart. So since pretty much November, they're down like absolutely crazy. One thing that I would like to note now that it's at these levels is that we are finally crossing over the daily chart. I would not be surprised if we can actually hold on to this 187 level and retouch the 200 levels. I think that if you're buying long term, Netflix might actually be a decent buy. Again, not financial advice. However, I think that if you can get this crossover, you can get this thing out of the oversold, which it currently is. I think we can definitely see 210, and then after that, maybe 260 plus. I think that it's a huge bargain right now, but it could keep going lower if we see the continuation of the S&P 500, NASDAQ continue to fall, which are currently what we're seeing with the trend. And if we look at May seasonality, typically May is a pretty down month, and we're only about halfway through. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kept going lower overall following the downtrend that we have. But I think that if we're taking this thing in terms of a shorter term, I think we might end up seeing about 210 for this thing. And I'm pretty excited. I would probably consider this thing actually as a swing trade, maybe for the small account. Next is AMD. AMD, eek. All right, so let me just clear all my drawings here because that would, yeah, let's remove it from this, remove drawing. Okay, so AMD is kind of a curious thing here because we are still following this downtrend pretty much all the way since 164. So notice rejection here, rejection here, rejection here, and we had a descending triangle and we failed, actually fell below it, but now we're trying to round out again. I think that if we can hold this crossover, keep with this buying pressure. Notice at the very bottom, our custom indicator shows that we are having more buyers than sellers. I think that if we can actually get above this 100 mark, I think we can totally rip to 105 to 117 in the future. That is completely dependent on whether or not NASDAQ decides to run, though. I think AMD is a very nice buy where it's at. Again, not financial advice, but I think it's very cheap right now. Not as cheap as it was in 2018, at $12, but this thing's pretty sweet. Overall, I would say I'm pretty long on AMD. I have quite a long bias now that I'm, kind of thinking back on it in terms of what I've said so far. But I think overall, there's a lot of really good value right now in this market. Let's pull up Tesla. Tesla had a really nice double bottom at 700. I was actually talking to a few buddies of mine about this, that it is a really nice buy right now. Pretty much, this thing is at like the pre-split type scenario levels. I think that Tesla right now is a really nice buy, especially considering that they're going to be splitting their stock again in the future. I think in June. Please correct me. I know I'm probably wrong on that, but I know that they're going to be splitting again. That in mind, let's draw some new fibs so we have an idea as to where this thing can go. So really quick, recent high, whoops, and then recent low, That is at 680. There it is. Okay, so very basic fibs, but if we can get above 792, we can potentially see a nice little reversal back up to maybe 820. That said, though, I don't like how much selling is currently happening on the stock. But let's see this hourly chart, and we do have a bull flag type setup. Let me pull up a 4 hour just to make sure. 4 hours definitely a bull flag. So I think that tomorrow, I think we might see kind of a shred, especially if we can cross over this 9 and 20 SMA lines. That in mind, I would probably be looking to take this thing to about 820, if not 860, because we know that Tesla is definitely extremely volatile when it comes to its moves. When it makes a big move, it moves, and those are 10% moves. ENPH. I've never, ever traded this stock, but I've been recommended to trade it or to look at it so many times. It is crazy. That in mind, we are very quickly canceling this crossover with this bottom here at 120. This thing is definitely shredded quite a bit, considering that it was up $12 recently. I think at the current rate that you're seeing right now, you're definitely rounding out this RSI line. If you can cross this MACD, you can definitely break 160 and then retouch 180. I think at the current rate that it's going, I think it looks pretty solid. That in mind, we do kind of have a V-shaped recovery, and we're crossed over on the 4 hour chart. I'm a pretty big fan of this, actually. I do have kind of a bit of a long bias, but overall, I think this looks pretty sweet. Costco, you already know. Okay, so Costco, let me draw some new fibs here because we need new fibs. All right, so recent high is 609. Recent low is 479. There we go. Okay, so Costco is losing a lot of the selling pressure. As you can see that the recent trading day that we had, it was up 2%, $11. I think that if we can cross this thing back up, and especially considering that we just got out of the oversold on the RSI, I think we can definitely see Costco make a little bit of a return. Because considering that, just last month, not even just last month, just last month, about 2 weeks ago, Costco was at its all-time high, and now it's down $100. You got to keep in mind that Costco has not really dropped too much in comparison to, say, other names. I think that retail is very strong right now. That could obviously change. Again, not financial advice, but I do think that Costco is definitely a pretty strong player right now. I think that if it were to reject, say, 500, I would be likely taking the thing short back down to retest at 480. Let's see. Roblox. Okay, Roblox, I'm pretty sure had like a super fat day. So, okay, keep in mind, Roblox was a $140 stock before. It bottomed at $20, and my stupid self did not buy it at $20. And now look, they had a smash earnings, and they just rocket ship. I think right now their crossover is going to completely team carry them back up to $40. I'm 100% long on Roblox. I think Roblox is a little crazily oversold, and I think that people are not giving it the chance. Let's see, Amazon, AMZN. Amazon, okay, Amazon again, bargain frickin' pricing. Let me pull up a weekly chart. Amazon has not been this low pretty much since the COVID drops. So this was pretty much, we went below pre-COVID high. And you got to keep in mind, that's extremely, extremely, extremely rare to see something like this. I think that this thing is dirt cheap right now, and I think that we're definitely undervaluing it as a whole. I think that the split might help this thing run a little bit, because you got to keep in mind, the stock split is in effect on the 6th. That's right around the corner. That's next month. This thing's going to split, and we're going to see so many shares at $100. I think we're definitely going to see this thing run, and I think people are starting to realize that right now. Is that Amazon is going to start shredding up higher, and you already know what I like. I like taking my my special Amazon trades. I'm Amazon FDs, so you know the vibe. If we're gonna be playing Amazon, we're definitely going to be taking FDs. We're definitely going to be in those shorter term trades, because we're going to be trying to maximize the hype off of the stock split. I think that the stock split is going to be one of the better things that's happened to Amazon recently. I remember I was quite the hater originally when that first, the news first dropped. Whoops. About the actual event, but I think that now that the stock is at this level, I think we can definitely see a push. I have a. Hey, you're on speaker. I'm live. What's up?
Hey, yo. Tell the team I said what's good.
Team says what's up. Hey. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hit you back, bro. I'm in the middle of a stock talk.
Hey, run it up, bro. Let's get it.
Catch you. Peace. Anyways, so I was quite the hater actually on the idea of the Amazon stock splitting, but I think that right now, while it's on this super dirt cheap level, I think buying Amazon shares at $100 is going to be such a steal long term. Again, not financial advice, but I think it's going to be such a steal. So many people are going to be flocking to this stock the moment this thing splits. And to be honest, I'm going to be one of those people. All right, next stock is Nvidia. Okay, so Nvidia is kind of going to be in the same boat as AMD. Massive uptrend. It had that split a long time ago, and pretty much the idea with Nvidia is right now it's still on a heavy sell-off. I'm personally not going to be hitting Nvidia probably for a little bit. I think if we can get this crossover, we can maybe start looking at it. But for right now, I think it's a little too oversold still. What I'm looking at right now is, can we break 180? And if we can break 180, we'll definitely at least test 190, which was this previous high, and then retest at 200. I think 200, that whole number level, is definitely going to see some gravity for us to retest it. I definitely will be looking at it once again, but that in mind, I do want to make sure that I'm careful because Nvidia options in particular are pretty volatile, and I've been burned a few times. Why would you jump into would you jump into Amazon before the split or wait for the split? I don't think it really matters. I mean, if you're buying it long term, especially, it should really not matter. But if you're just buying like options, I wouldn't play options because your options also get split. You got to keep in mind with a stock split, why is it doing that? Sorry about that. Okay, anyways. With the stock split, so the options also split. So you got to keep in mind with it being a 20 to 1 split, or 1 to 20 split. Pretty much what that means is if I have a 2,000 call, my 20 to 1 split will give me 20 $100 call options, and it's going to be a complete shit show. Crap show when that happens. Let's see, what do we have? SPY. So this is just the S&P 500. We bottomed out at our downtrend or our down channel level. This is from our indicator, our custom indicator. Remember, that is on Discord for you guys to check out. I think that we are still kind of in a bearish territory, to be honest. I do think that we touch 410. I think if we can get above 410, we'll definitely see a little bit of a retest, maybe 420. That in mind, we do have to keep in mind, this is a downtrend. We are below the channel. We cannot take a huge long bias if this market is not giving us reason to do so. Since I've started this stream, the ES futures went from up quite a bit to had this pretty massive sell-off in this 1 minute chart. You can see that it's dropped 10 points. So just something to consider, Let me pull up the trade desk. Whoops, TDD. All right, so the trade desk. Trade desk, interesting because they bottomed out at 40, whole number mark, but we more importantly got back above the down channel. I think if we can hold above this this double bottom break, notice we have this huge H. We can actually hold above here and use this as a support level. We can probably end up seeing a $60 retest. I would be very curious to see how it goes about doing it, especially considering that just 2 days ago, this thing saw a 15% day. Overall, I would say that this is a pretty decent price level, but you got to keep in mind, again, this is a huge downtrend, massive downtrend. So, if you're trying to buy this thing at a bargain, now is a pretty cool time, but again, not financial advice. I do like where it's at, though. I think a lot of things are on super heavy discount. Okay, Disney especially. All right, I was actually talking to a few buddies of mine about this because you got to keep in mind, Disney is a dividend-paying stock. And Disney is Disney, I haven't really seen a better bargain in this market other than, say, Amazon. Look at this, $187 peak, $99 trough, and that was 2 days ago, like 2 trading days ago. You have it at $107. You have a dividend that pays out, and on top of that, we already have a MACD that's trying to cross and come out of the oversold. I think if we can get above 100 and 109 ish, we'll definitely retest 115, and from 115 we have a 130, I think, pretty easily. Notice the buying pressure on these past couple of days. I think a lot of people realize that this thing is definitely a bargain at where it's at. That is just something to consider, but I do like it overall. Wait till the Shanghai park opens. Bro, literally, like, I'm so hyped for Disney. I'm going to be buying this thing up pretty soon in terms of a long term. Again, that's my personal portfolio. CVS. I actually have never traded CVS, but it's at the 200-day moving average in terms of a daily chart. I would wait for this one. This looks like a really deformed H. But considering that yesterday, or rather Friday, was a really green day for the majority of stocks, CVS being red is not the best thing that you want to see. If you can cross this MACD over, I would be pretty pleased if we can get this thing across the MACD. Otherwise, we're going to keep rejecting this 98, 99 level, and I would just have to wait. I think from highs, it's a very, or rather not from highs, sorry, from just its overall trend, it is still down. I would like to take it as a bounce off of 96. That would be my confirmation, the 200-day moving average. And notice how quickly and or rather how quickly the selling pressure plateaued. I think that that's definitely a really good sign in terms of long-term investing if you like CVS. Let's see, Walmart. WMT. Walmart. So, okay, Walmart is kind of interesting considering that Walmart has been in just massive shred pretty much while everyone else is dumping. So Walmart's actually, in my opinion, one of those like recession-proof style buys where notice we broke the downtrend and it has just been on an absolute shred since pretty much February. It has been nonstop until this really huge dip that we saw with the entire market sliding. But even then, this thing's only down about 8% from the top. So considering that this thing bounced here at 146, I think if it does head any lower, we retouch the 200-day moving average at 144, and that might be the entry price because notice the MACD is very quickly losing that selling pressure. Overall, I like Walmart. I believe they also pay dividend. I'm not sure. I don't have Walmart shares. Okay, Target, same kind of vibe except not as strong. Notice that this thing did take that huge dip pretty much since the beginning of this year. Notice since November, this thing's been sliding. Did have a retest back in April and then just back down. I think that overall, if you can keep this thing on this little uptrend that it's got, notice from 184, it has been trending higher. If we hold this like 215 level as our support, I think we can definitely see this thing ride higher and at least retest that 260 mark long term. I'm a pretty big fan of that. That actually concludes my my ticker list. If anyone has other tickers that you'd like me to check out, feel free to type it in the chat. I'll leave the chat open for like the next 3 minutes. But this was actually a pretty quick stock talk. Kind of surprised. That in mind, I do want to open this chat up also for questions because I know that a lot of people have questions as to trading, different different things that could be confusing you, or maybe a stock has insane movement and you want to know how to play against it, or say, should I sell my stocks, something like that, or what am I looking at, different things. I mean, personally, when I'm looking at different stocks to trade for long term, I'm a very big fan of Amazon at this price. I think Disney is a really good buy. Again, this is not financial advice, but I do think that these two are really good buys right now. I also like JP Morgan. I think Amex, especially at 150, is dirt cheap. And these are more, strategic, slow, more reserved type plays. I do think Tesla's dirt cheap as well. Rivian. Okay. Considering this thing was $180, that's pretty wild. I do like the Rivian trucks, I'm going to be honest, and I've been seeing them a lot more. I think that they had this massive sell-off mainly because their valuation was already stupidly high because they had no sales, nothing like that, and they were valued in the billions instantly. I think that we probably saw the $20 bottom. This thing's crossing over the MACD. I think this thing's dirt cheap right now, and I probably want to scoop up some of this. This is more of a speculation type of play. Now that I think about it, let me see some other stocks that I used to trade. Nano Dimension. I used to trade Q something. QS. QuantumScape, 12 bucks. Yeah, like these are stocks that I used to play back in like the pandemic, and these things were bumping, and now they're definitely past their heyday. LSAD. So I think Lucid and Rivian are both sitting in that same spot where they both had astronomically high valuations. I do want to say that I think Lucid is in a better spot financially. I have looked actually into their papers. I definitely think that they're in a better spot financially in terms of longer term. They might be a better buy than Rivian, especially considering that they might be able to turn a profit pretty soon. That in mind, I would like to insert my opinion. I think they're really ugly cars, but that's just me. Anyways, let's see. PSA and LIN. Is this an actual? Okay, here we go. This just took a second. PSA. What is that? Public storage. Okay, I have beef with public storage, bro. I think public storage. I don't know how people can just like buy a storage unit, put stuff in it, and then forget about it. It just kind of blows my mind. This thing was at 421, and the thing is, their business model is pretty like bulletproof. Check this thing out, right? This thing hasn't been this low. This thing. It's just wild. I mean, think about it, right? In the past 2 weeks, this thing's lost about a year's worth of value. I think that we can maybe see this thing head a little lower, but I wouldn't be surprised if this like 320 mark is close to the bottom that we'll see on this thing. We definitely did break the uptrend that we were holding, but overall, I mean, we're holding pretty strong in terms of the trend on this thing. LIN is, I got no clue. Let me type it in slowly one more time so I can see it. Lind, I have no idea. I remember we're all popping off. They all died. Yeah, all those stocks that we used to trade were definitely unicorn style stocks. And the thing with unicorns is, they either make it or they break it. And for a lot of them, definitely got broken. That in mind, let's really quickly just check this out. LIN, it looks like a massive H to me as a whole. I would be horrified to enter this thing if it broke, or rather, I'd be horrified to enter long if it broke the 20 SMA and didn't get above it. Rather, if it breaks above, I think you can definitely see this thing trend a little higher. I might even put a weekly chart just to see if it looks like a flag actually. It looks like an H on the weekly chart too, and the MACD didn't cross over. I would probably wait for this thing to see if it confirms to the downside again and retest down in the 260s, 270s levels. That's just what I think about that one. Yeah, I remember Space. What's Space at, dude? That thing's probably dirt cheap. $6. Yeah, I played this whole run from Space from their IPO all the way to $60. That was one of my better trades. Lemonade. Yeah, Lemonade $20. Used to be $115. Peloton. Okay, Peloton. Rest in peace, bro. $115, down like 90%. Fubo. That's one of my that's one of my favorites. CJ loved this stock. Down 90%. Roku. I don't know the beef that everyone has with Roku actually, because Roku I think is a fairly like stable company in terms of their financials. But anyways, not financial advice. That said, I do appreciate everyone for tuning in as usual. Link in the description for those who are just watching in the YouTube channel for my Discord. It's completely free. You can check it out. And there's a lot of cool people there. I'm live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Also, there will be a link for the Masterclass with a discount. That in mind, I think I'm going to call my stream here. Very productive, actually. I'm very excited for the market coming into this week. I think that we see a little bit of an uptrend, and I think that we might potentially see a little bit of a run with tech. If we can run with tech, we'll see a little bit of an uptrend everywhere else. And if we can break that like 412 area, we'll definitely see a nice little recovery up to 420, where we'll either see whether or not we dump or we continue going higher. I'm definitely curious, but we'll see what happens. I appreciate everyone for tuning in as usual. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the comment box or ask me on Discord, direct message me on Instagram, whatever it is. I'm always ready to take